Governor DeWine, first of all, give me your reaction to the decision in the Dobbs case out of Mississippi.
Well, good afternoon, Bill.
Yeah.
I think this was expected, with the leak opinion. I think we've been waiting for this, and this was the day when it occurred. I think it's important for everyone to just kind of walk through, what happens next, but also what this means. And, Bill, as you know, what this simply means is that the question, the policy question, the legal question of abortion is now returned to the states. That's where it was 50 years ago when Roe v. Wade was decided. It took it away from the states, took it away from the people. Now it is back to each state. So let's look at Ohio. I signed shortly after I was elected the heartbeat bill. This is a bill that the legislature sent me. Basically says in kind of plain language that abortion is not allowed. Once a heartbeat can be detected, there's exceptions in there. Life of the mother, serious harm to the mother. That bill did not go into effect, even though it was passed and signed by me. It did not go into effect because the federal courts, based on Roe v. Wade, ruled that there would be a stay and it would not go into effect. Just a few minutes ago, the Attorney General of Ohio, Dave Yost, went into court and asked that the stay be lifted. So that is where that stands now. One would think that the federal court would lift that stay, but there could be additional litigation as well. Once that stay is lifted, it will be the health department's responsibility to put in regulations that follow up on that, and we are prepared to do that. So that's really where we are at this point in Ohio, and I really appreciate the chance to be on here. It's like there's a couple things that I think that I would like to just share with my fellow Ohioans. Once this is returned to the state, which it has now been, and it's not just Ohio, obviously it's all the states, I think it's important that we remember some things. I'm certainly pro-life. I don't know anybody more pro-life than Mike DeWine. But this is a very contentious issue. And I think it's important how we go about debates. I think we have to have respect for each other. I think we have respect for the First Amendment, people's right to demonstrate, people's right to talk about this. I think we need to do it in a civil way. There are people of goodwill on both sides of this issue. You and I know them. We have some who are, I'm sure, you have friends who are on the other side. I have friends who are on the other side. People have family members. So I think that, it's going to be very easy to let this debate, get down and be rough and tough. And there's nothing wrong with, a spirited debate. But I think the way we do it and do it in a civil way and with respect for each other is important. The second point I really wanted to make is that when we look at the issues facing Ohio, particularly the issues that have to do with pregnant women, issues that have to do with babies, issues that have to do with children. I think there is really common ground here. I think that virtually all Ohioans, agree that it's so very, very important. If we have a pregnant mother who, because of poverty, because of drug addiction, because of any number of abuse, any number of reasons, is having a difficult time, that the rest of society, all of us, have an obligation to try to help. When I became governor, I really decided that I wanted Ohio to be the most pro-family, most pro-child state in the union, and that I would work every single day to try to do that. We have dramatically increased funding for home visiting programs, for example. These are programs that I first saw actually down in Cincinnati and saw them work exceedingly well. I saw in some areas where they could reduce the infant mortality rate. We have doubled that. We have twice as many visits, twice as many people being covered today as when I became governor, we have put some real emphasis on early childhood education, early childhood development, but getting medical care. We're going through a real change in our medical insurance for poor people, what's called Medicaid, and it is much more focused on the individual. And we've told our managed care companies as we've written these contracts that, reaching these women early on in their pregnancy and being aggressive in that sense, these are all voluntary programs, but making sure that they have the ability. We have also increased, Bill, significantly the amount of money that's going to pregnancy centers around the state. They're in every part of the state. There's over 100 of them. They're doing the Lord's work by reaching out and sometimes becoming parents or becoming friends of people who come in there and just giving them help and assistance. So these are all things that I think, Bill, we all should be able to agree on. If you're pro-choice, you're pro-life. So this is going to become contentious, and it's very emotional, and I fully understand this. But I just think, for all of us to draw back for a moment and say, look, everybody wants the best. We have very different ideas sometimes between people on one side of this issue or another, but let's go about this in a civil way. But also, let's be constructive, and let's figure out what else we could do in Ohio to make it the most pro-child state, the most pro-baby state, the most pro-mother state, and most pro-family state that we can. And these are things that I think we generally, can agree on. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, I think most people agree that early childhood education is important, early childhood development. We want all these babies to be, normal birth weight babies. So those are just some things that I think, before we, begin this debate across this country, which is happening, we should remember that. And I don't think we should be afraid of this, Bill. This is what we do in this country.
Yeah.
We debate things politically. Yeah. We go through the political process.
Vote. The courts are still
open. Courts will weigh in on all of this. And so, I just while I, as someone who believes that what we're dealing with is a human life, and believes that government has a real moral obligation to protect all innocent life, I do believe that there's a way to conduct this debate in a civil way, and we should not be afraid of it. It's what we do. It's what we do in this country.
Governor,
we leave it to the people.
Governor, a couple issues, as I understand it, and let me make a statement and see if I have this correctly, so the American people understand. Ohio passed about an 8-week heartbeat bill that said after the heartbeat is detected in Ohio, there's very limited circumstances to get an abortion. And so what this has done now is at some point this afternoon, over the weekend or Monday, the federal judge, I think you agree, is going to dissolve the injunction, which means the heartbeat bill, the 8-week heartbeat bill is in effect. That's the law in Ohio. Is that correct?
Yeah, Bill. I mean, I think what has to happen, the federal judge has to remove that. And then once that's removed, we have an obligation, I say the health department, the state health department, to file the regulations. And then at that point, it goes into effect. Now, again, that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But it goes on into court. The Attorney General for the state of Ohio has gone into court too.
All right. Now, secondly, abortion pills. Watching the media coverage, the abortion rights movement is going to proliferate abortion pills, and we have in about 15 minutes, President Joe Biden, the speculation is the FDA in Washington is going to flood the market with abortion pills. Is there a law in Ohio that prohibits the use of abortion pills, say 3 months into a pregnancy? Is that illegal in Ohio once the injunction is dissolved?
Yeah, I don't think that is clear. At least it's not clear with me. Again, the legislature, you've had a statement, you saw a statement from the Speaker and the Senate President, indicate that the whole issue at some point. As I recall, the penalty bill is in the heartbeat bill is against anybody who provides this or does this. So
right.
it would seem to me, without having the bill in front of me, that someone who provided that, could be breaking the law if, in fact, this was used, once a heartbeat had, in fact, been detected. But I think those type questions will certainly be something that the legislature will want to delve into with hearings, and will want to delve into certainly more completely in the future.
Now, listening to what's happening to my left on CNN and Fox News, birth control pills and condoms, would you support or do you advocate the elimination of birth control pills or condoms in the state of Ohio?
Well, no, that would be just absurd. I mean, look. I think that this people who are trying to read more into this decision
right.
than there is are making a grave mistake. Look, this has been. You have liberal judges. You have liberals who are very pro-choice, who have said Roe v. Wade, was just not well decided. So this has been going for 50 years. It has not resolved the political question at all. But there's just absolutely not. I think that's just bogus, not true. No one wants to see that. No one's going to see that.
On the issue of gay marriage, for example, the Supreme Court ruled a few years ago that because of the full faith and credit clause, I know there are many DR judges that would have a marriage in New York state that was not recognized in Ohio, and then the Supreme Court decision made it the law of the land. Looking to my left, CNN believes that gay marriage is going to be on the chopping block. Does this decision, it doesn't affect gay marriage at all, but would Governor Mike DeWine agree to some sort of legislation or effort to outlaw gay marriage in Ohio?
Look, I don't think that is permissible by the Constitution as ruled by the U.S. Supreme Court 2 years ago. I don't think that is going to happen. No, that's simply not going to happen.
All right. Now, lastly, what message do you give that we have the president coming up in about 10 minutes? I don't know what he's going to say. I don't think he knows what he's going to say. But nonetheless, what message would you give to Ohioans? This is a very contentious time. Another pancake has been put on the stack of pancakes, and God knows we have lots of pancakes to worry about. Here's a big hot one right on top, which I think is a great day. It shouldn't have happened 50 years ago. It finally has been overturned, much like slavery was overturned after 50 or 60 years, and it changed. What message would you give to Ohioans about the level of debate and the anger that many on the radical left feel? They're talking about a summer of rage is about to take place.
Well, I think that would be a mistake. I think that this is hotly contentious. Those of us who are pro-life, have thought this was wrongly decided for 50 years. We marched out in Washington. Fran and I did, and kids, and feel very strongly about this. But I think that we have to let the court process take its place or play out. I think the political process plays out. It's going to play out in all 50 states. This is what we do in this country. We should not be afraid of democracy. We should not be afraid of the people being able to make decisions in this area. But I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, Bill. Let's do it in a civil way. Let's respect one another. These are good people on both sides of this issue. We shouldn't be questioning someone's motives. But the other thing I think is that instead of, being contentious, let's find places where we can work together. Let's find programs that we can back. The programs that I took to the legislature to help pregnant women, to make Ohio a more welcoming state for children and babies, families, a pro-family state. Those have passed.
Yeah.
But there will be more. I will be going back to the legislature and asking them to do even more. And I think that in these cases, that whether you're pro-life, pro-choice, liberal, conservative, that the things that we're going to be presenting will be things that both sides will be able to get behind and say, look, we're going to fight over abortion. We're not happy. Okay. But seeing that fewer children grow up in lead infested homes. We all ought to be able to agree on that. We all ought to be able to agree that we want that mother who has an addiction problem, we want to be able to reach her and help her during that pregnancy so that baby can be born not addicted to drugs. I mean, we can just go down the list, Bill, of the things that we agree on, and that's what this governor's focus is going to be on, is these things that we agree on, while those of us who are pro-life, celebrate this victory and believe it is the right thing. Something we've waited for a long time.
Yeah.
There's work to be done, and that work is to protect families, protect children.